Congressman Colin Allred has announced that he will be running for Senate in Texas, challenging Republican Senator Ted Cruz in 2024. Ted Cruz is obviously one of the worst people in politics, incredibly dishonest, dangerous, and divisive. So it would be great to see him defeated. Unfortunately, this is the state of Texas, so any Republican losing in a statewide race is unlikely, but it will still be a really interesting race to watch very closely. Plus, Beto O'Rourke did get relatively close to defeating Ted Cruz the last go-around, and so maybe it's possible. Here is a part of Congressman Allred's announcement video, and then we'll discuss further.
When I left the NFL, I thought my days of putting people on the ground were over. Then, January 6th happened. I remember hearing the glass breaking and the shouts coming closer. I texted my wife, "Whatever happens, I love you." Then I took off my jacket and got ready to take on anyone who came through that door. And Ted Cruz, he cheered on the mob.
"We will not go quietly into the night."
Then hid in a supply closet when they stormed the Capitol. But that's Ted for you. All hat, no cattle. When Texans were freezing in the dark, he jetted off to Cancun. He'll do anything to get on Fox News, but can't be bothered to help keep rural Texas hospitals open. Spends months trying to whip up phony culture wars, but not a minute trying to raise wages or lower drug prices. The struggles of regular Texans just don't interest him. Well, they matter to me, because those struggles are the story of my life. Mom was raised in Brownsville and moved to Dallas. She was a public school teacher and worked 2 jobs to make ends meet. I never knew my father. So I made a promise to myself a long time ago that when I became a dad, I would do it right.
Texas Democrat Colin Allred, he's a former NFL linebacker turned U.S. Congressman.
And we'll stop it there. You can find the full thing and watch it if you like. I recognize how unlikely it is that a Democrat could be successful in a statewide race like this, but it would be so sweet, so good if Ted Cruz was defeated. And you saw it mentioned in that video, but I think 2 images are really important to play on loop during this campaign because they're representative of Ted Cruz. The image of him trying to overturn the results, objecting to the certification of Biden's win in 2020, and then him jetting off to Cancun during a crisis because he is an anti-democratic extremist. And also, he's uninterested on a day-to-day basis in helping Texans when they need it the most. And it's just true that Texans would be much better off being represented by someone like Colin Allred, but Ted Cruz, as the video also noted, will do everything he can to distract from his horrible policy positions with culture war nonsense and his nebulous brave fight against wokeness or whatever. And then I also want to look at a little bit from an interview he did on Lawrence O'Donnell's show on MSNBC. Here's this.
What do you expect to be the leading issues in this campaign a year from now when you're deep into the election year?
Well, the fact is, Ted Cruz is an extremist. He's an extremist who wants to ban all abortions, wants to make every decision for women in, I think, one of the most difficult moments in any woman's life. He's somebody who wants to cut Social Security and Medicare. He brags about that. He's somebody who doesn't try at all to actually solve any problems in this country. Over the last 10 years, when he's been in the United States Senate, he's used his position in the Senate to pit Americans against each other, to pit Texans against each other. He's honestly busier being a podcaster, which he does 3 times a week, than actually being a senator. Texans deserve a better senator, and we don't have to be embarrassed by our senator. We can get a new one, and that's the beauty of our democracy, and that's the chance that we have in this election.
As this year plays out, what do you expect?
So listen, Colin Allred would be a million times better as a senator than Ted Cruz. So for that reason, and because Texas is my home state, of course, where I live, this will be a race that I'm personally following very, very closely. You really wish that everyone, including Republicans in the state of Texas, would be able to recognize how radical and awful Ted Cruz is. And he just I wish they could see. He just refuses to work in the interest of the working class in Texas. But unfortunately, as wild as this is, his culture war obsessions and fear-mongering about Colin Allred taking your guns will still be the most likely victorious campaign. The world is upside down.